Oh, are we starting? Hi guys, Hunter here, and this is my third video, third video in my training series of tongue twisters and passages from my favorite book, Cannibal Adventure by Willard Price. And okay, how I got to do this is um, when I was in college, and I was an undergraduate in my school. Okay, I wanted to be a great presenter, like Steve Jobs maybe. So at the time, I wasn't so great at speaking. Like I was stuttering, and my body language was all over the place, and I had a very high pitched voice, so it wasn't so attractive. So what I did was the next year I took classes on how to speak. So I learned how to like control my voice and how to control my energy. And then what I did was I practiced. I practiced a lot. I even practiced when I was in the army. Because Korean guys, because I'm Korean, all have to go to the army for like 2 years, a couple of years. So when I was in the army, I had like lots of spare time. So I was kind of bored, and I was looking for some things to do. Then I thought, hey, why not like improve my skills? So what I did was I read a lot of books, and in the process, I found the book I used to improve my speech skills. Then that got me thinking, why not improve my speech skills in my spare time? And also, at the time, before I went to the military, I read some books on body language. So what I did was I was practicing my speech skills and body language in the army for 2 years, and that got me started. After the 2 years, I was an okay speaker. I knew how to control my energy when I was speaking, and I knew how to like speak in a more deeper voice, lower tone. So then I practiced my presentation a lot again. So that made me a good presenter in Korean. So what I'm trying to do here is duplicate that skill in English. So what I'm gonna do is exactly what I did when I was improving my skills in Korean. And that consists of tongue twisters, and reading passages from books, and then some presentation skills. But we're gonna focus mainly on the first two during the next maybe about 30 days or so. So I've been doing this in actually more than 10 videos, but I put up only about 2. So let's get started, and I'll show you what you have to do. Okay. I'm gonna do some tongue twisters, and the link will be below the video. And let's get started. Okay, let me have a glass of water. Okay, actually a bottle of water first. Okay. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where is the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where is the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? I saw Susie sitting in a shoe shine shop. Where she sits, she shines, and where she shines, she sits. I saw Susie sitting in a shoe shine shop. Where she sits, she shines, and where she shines, she sits. How many boards could the Mongols hoard if the Mongol hordes got bored? How many boards could the Mongols hoard if the Mongol hordes got bored? Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm doing tongue twisters, and I've done the first 5. This is about the 10th time for me now. So if you guys stumble in any point, you should do it again. Okay, that's the point. Practice again. Okay, practice makes perfect. That is not a joke. Practice makes perfect. So if you get stuck on some of these, stop the video, go practice, and come back. I'll be here. If I go past it, you can just rewind it, right? This is a video, so okay, follow me, but do it at your own pace. Okay, so number 4. How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? Send toast to 10 stout saints, 10 tall tents. Send toast to 10 stout saints, 10 tall tents. Send toast to 10 stout saints, 10 tall tents. Okay. Denise sees the fleece. Denise sees the fleas. At least Denise could sneeze and feed and freeze the fleas. Denise sees the fleece. Denise sees the fleas. At least Denise could sneeze and feed and freeze the fleas. Denise sees the fleece. Denise sees the fleas. At least Denise could sneeze and feed and freeze the fleas. Koi knows pseudo noise codes. Koi knows pseudo noise codes. Pseudo noise codes. Koi knows pseudo noise codes. Pseudo noise codes. Koi knows pseudo noise codes. Sheena leads. Sheila needs. Sheena leads. Sheila needs. The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. Something in a 30-acre thermal thicket of thorns and thistles thumped and thundered, threatening the 3D thoughts of Matthew the Thug. Although theatrically, it was only the 13,000 thistles and thorns through the underneath of his thigh that the 30-year-old thug thought of that morning. Can you can a can as a canner can? As a canner can a can? Can you can a can as a canner can a can? Can you can a can as a canner can a can? Can you can a can as a canner can a can? Seth at Sainsbury's sells thick socks. 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 You cuss, I cuss, we all cuss for asparagus. You cuss, I cuss, we all cuss for asparagus. You cuss, I cuss, we all cuss for asparagus. Roberta ran rings around the Roman ruins. 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 Clean clams crammed in clean cans. Clean clams crammed in clean cans. Clean clams crammed in clean cans. Clean clams crammed in clean clams crammed in clean cans. Okay, so I think that's enough for the tongue twisters. I'm gonna do 5 more every day. So I've done till the 15th one. Clean clams crammed in clean cans. Okay, so you should practice. And what I'm gonna do next is read from Cannibal Adventure. Okay, so this is a favorite from my childhood. So I was in an international school in Malaysia when I was little. So what I did when I wasn't one of the like cool kids. I was one of the guys who could do sports well. So I wasn't like picked last or anything, but um, I think I was kind of really um, enjoying my me time. So what I did was I like to like read a lot and get into these fantasy worlds of mine. Um, and the animal kingdom at the time fascinated me. So capturing animals, brothers capturing animals with their father, was an enticing story for me. So what I did was I think I read the whole series, about like 30 or 40 books, during the first semester of third grade, I think. And I think I also read a lot of Goosebumps, if you remember. Yeah, I know some of you guys remember Goosebumps. Anyway, these were one of my favorites, so I'm gonna read you one of the passages from here. Actually, I read chapter 2 last time, so I'm gonna read chapter 3. Okay. Ooh, the witch doctor. Okay. At the door of the tamboran, a guard stood aside and invited the three to enter. Now, that's the nicest thing they could possibly do for us, the captain said. Usually no stranger is allowed in the spirit house. If he should sneak in without permission, he'll probably be killed. What colors? Said Hal. See all those paintings on the front wall. But wait until you see the inside, said the captain. They entered. At first, they could see nothing plainly. There were no windows. The thatched roof came straight down to the ground. Hal took out his flashlight. The place was full of people, all in wood. Carved wooden figures stood all about. They were painted in red and yellow. Some wore terrible masks. Others wore no mask, but their faces themselves were terrible. Savage teeth projected from their mouths. Their noses reached to their chins, and they were pierced by the horns of animals. Their great eyes, vividly colored, seemed to bore through you. They're supposed to be devils or gods. That's all the same. To these people, the gods are devilish, and the devils have the power of gods. The witch doctors use these figures to scare the people and make them do as they are told. But the most remarkable exhibits in the spirit house were the hundreds of skulls lined up in rows on shelves. They all screamed with paint: red, blue, yellow, purple. Heads of enemies they have killed, said the captain. As I told you before, there's supposed to be an evil spirit hiding in every one, ready to do you harm if you don't behave. Roger squirmed as if ants were running over his back. This place gives me the creeps. That's what it's supposed to do. That's how the witch doctor keeps control of the people, by giving them the creeps. They came out of the tamboran to find all the people of the village assembled. They were listening to the witch doctor, who stood high on the end of the great wooden drum, so that all could see him. The sun had set. Torches made of faggots and... Faggots? What? Torches made of faggots and straw lit the scene. Some of the audience booed the speaker because the three strangers had proved they are better witch doctors than he was. Captain Ted explained. He's trying to get them under his thumb once more. He's telling them about his great powers, how he can kill people without even touching them. All he needs to do is say to a man, "You will die," and the man dies. Baloney! Exploded Roger. Does he really expect them to believe that? Yes, and they do believe it. They've seen it happen many times. They believe it so completely that when a magician puts the curse of death on them, they're very likely to give up and die. After all, our own doctors can do something like that. Suppose you don't feel well. You go to the doctor, and he examines you. Perhaps he says, "You're in a fine shape. Don't worry. You'll be alright." What effect does it have on you? Why, you feel better right away. It's a relief to know that there's nothing wrong with you. Thinking you are well helps you to be well. Your mind tells you you're well, and your body answers, I am well. But suppose your doctor examines you and then looks very serious and shakes his head and says, you're a very, very sick man. How long have I got, doctor? A few weeks at the most. You go home feeling worse than ever, both in mind and body. If you really believe you're in your doctor, you may just get weaker and weaker until you quit altogether. Luckily, most of us don't think our doctors know everything, but most of these islanders have complete faith in their witch doctors. What's he saying now? Asked Roger. He's talking about us. He says he'll prove that he's a greater magician than any of us. Now the sorcerer faced them directly and said, hear what I say. I call upon all the powers of evil. I placed a curse upon you. You'll sleep tonight in the tambourine. Every one of the 100 spirits in that house will look down upon you and wish your death. At midnight, you will die. I have spoken. The guards pushed Hal, Roger, and the captain back into the spirit house and closed the great carved door. A beam used to lock the door fell into place. Now the tambourine was a prison. Hal flashed his light around. Wooden figures and skulls seemed to come alive, and their large, brilliantly painted eyes stared, ugly and cruel, upon the three condemned to death. Looks can kill, Roger said. We're dead already. Not by a long shot, said Captain Ted. Keep your nerve up. As for me, I'm going to bed. But the flashlight revealed no bed or couch of any kind. Okay, said Ted. We'll sleep on the floor, but we ought at least to have pillows. He looked about for something that would do for a pillow. There might at least be a block of wood. None could be seen. His eyes lit on the rows of skulls. Perfect, he said. He gave the two boys a pair of skulls and took one for himself. They lay down and tried to make their heads comfortable on the hard bone. Roger couldn't get rid of the idea that every skull was the home of a demon. His demon seemed to be staring up straight through his head. He turned the skull upside down, with its sides in the dirt. Now he felt a little more comfortable. A healthy boy doesn't lie awake worrying, and Roger was soon asleep. But after a few hours, he woke up with a start. He thought he had heard a voice say, "The time has come." But his brother and Ted were snoring softly. Otherwise, the place was as silent as a tomb. Tomb! That was a bad thought. If there was anything to the sorcerer's curse, this was their tomb. He looked at the luminous dial of his watch. It was 10 minutes before midnight. What would happen in 10 minutes? Nothing, he told himself. Nothing at all. He'd just go to sleep again. Sleep again. He adjusted his head as comfortably as possible on his bony pillow, and closed his eyes. But the eyes of all the demons around him bored through his eyelids. He could imagine that the sorcerer was standing over him, repeating the curse. At midnight, you will die. He didn't feel well. He had a headache and a stomach ache. He put his fingers on his wrist. His pulse was too fast. He felt too warm. If he was shivering, should he wake Hal? Hal would call him a fool for getting the jitters over nothing. But the sorcerer might have more power than he gave him credit for. After all, Americans didn't know everything. Almost everything, perhaps, but not everything. Science was just beginning to learn about waves. Electrical waves, radio waves, sonar waves, X-rays, light rays, laser rays, cosmic rays, atomic rays. There were probably thousands of other kinds. But why not death rays? He had seen enough of the world to know that Americans had much to learn from other nations. Perhaps the sorcerer was awake and sending out thought waves that would kill. Some sort of rays seemed to be just burrowing into Roger's own brain. Or was that just his headache? Now he understood how an islander who had been told by a sorcerer that he would die might really die. He felt like crying out, but no. If he had to die, he would die with his mouth shut. What was all this about dying? He knew he wouldn't die, but he felt very faint and tired. He fell into a troubled sleep. He dreamed that he was dead, and his skull was on the shelf. When he woke, the sun was glinting in under the big door. Hal and Ted were stirring. There was a sound of many voices outside. Then the scrape of the locking beam as it was drawn out, and the door opened. The sorcerer stood in the doorway. Behind him were the people of the village, straining their necks, trying to see if his death curse had worked. "Play dead," whispered Hal. The three closed their eyes. The sorcerer came in. To see if they were only asleep, he kicked each one cruelly in the ribs. They did not budge. It was quite evident that they were stone dead. Some of the men shouted in praise of their sorcerer, but the women groaned in sympathy for the strangers they had welcomed the day before. The sorcerer went out and gave some sharp orders. "He's telling them to build a fire," Ted whispered. There was the sound of stone axes whacking down brush. Then the scrape of the brush being dragged to a central spot. Then the sputter of fire. "Are they going to burn us alive?" whispered Roger. "Not alive," replied Ted. "Don't forget, they're dead. Don't let them get a squeak out of you. Then we'll give them a surprise." Another sharp order. Then men entered. They laid hold of the three corpses and dragged them out into a circle of brush. There was already the crackle of small fires that had been started all around the circle. They gradually burned higher and higher, and joined until there was a perfect ring of fire around the three bodies. The fire began to eat in towards the center. A little more and it would burn their clothes, and then themselves. It had rained during the night, and the damp brush sent up huge volumes of smoke. It was beginning to be uncomfortably hot within the circle of flame. "Now," said Captain Ted, "we get up and walk out." The people gasped in terror when they saw three ghosts appear in the smoke. They must be the spirits of the three dead strangers. The ghosts stepped quickly over the flames and out into the open, and changed into living men. A cry went out through the crowd. Here was greater magic than their own sorcerer had ever performed. The sorcerer himself could not believe what he saw. He stood frozen, speechless, his jaw hanging in wonder. Perhaps it was the first time his murder method had ever failed. A moment before he had been a man of power, and every man, woman, and child in the valley was afraid of him. Now his authority was gone. He was no better than the next man, and the crowd was screaming that he himself should be thrown into the fire. He took to his heels and escaped into the woods. Perhaps he would climb over the mountain into the next village and try there to set up again in the magic business. At any rate, this village was rid of him. Okay, that was chapter 3 of Cannibal Adventure. So I'm gonna do this for at least like 30 days now, and after that I'm gonna go into like English presentation skills. After I've like completed my speech skills, and actually this is my like maybe 14th or 15th video, including the ones that I failed or like I wasn't satisfied with, and it's been pretty great. Now I can like speak much more normally, although I have the ahs and ums inside. Still I have the ums and my habits inside my videos, but still I can talk like someone's in front of me. Okay? So practice makes perfect. So after you see the video or while seeing the video, you do the same. Take a book you like, read a passage from it, and before that, do some tongue twisters. You're gonna be amazed how you can improve in a very short period of time. Also, I'm doing this video because I wanna improve my skills and my presentation skills so that I can teach people how to do what I do for a living. And what I do is market on the internet, and one of the best ways to do that is through video, because if you want to talk to like 100 people, if you go person by person and talk to them one by one, it'll take you like 100 hours if you take 1 hour per person, right? But if you get them into a meeting, it'll be done in an hour, but it'll take time to organize that meeting. It'll cost you money. It'll cost you your resources. So the best way, I think, to reach out to 100 people is by video. Make a video and put it on YouTube. 100 people can see it in a matter of days. So I'm improving my skills, and I'm trying to give value to the people, so that they can benefit from what I'm doing, right? And I'm in the process of reaching that point where I give them good value, and I teach them how to do what I do to earn money. So if you want to check it out in advance before I reach my point, then you can go to the link below and check it out. Actually, you should check it out right now, because there's a learning curve there also, and one of the learning curves there is actually learning how to speak and make videos. So you go there, okay, go to the link, and then enter your best email and start your free training there. And also, I'm gonna take care of you also, so I'll teach you how to make better videos every day, and you're gonna make money just like I do, making videos. Okay? So I'll see you in the next video, and again, go to the link below, enter your email, and hit send. Okay? Start your free training. Don't be a wussy, and start today. Start today. Okay? Start today. Okay? Signing off.